What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It is September 13th of 2022. Oh my gosh, team. We just blew up. No, I'm kidding. S&P 500 finished down 4.35%. NASDAQ QQQ down 5.48%. That is like a year's worth of returns in a single day. IWM down 3.91%. Our dogs of the Dow were down 3.96%. Our ARK Innovation ETF was down a whopping 6.79%. Good news is we did get a blowout in volatility. You can see pretty much all these volatility indices did move out to the upside. Almost all the indices closed at the day's lows. And oh my gosh, look at this breadth. We only had 6% advancers in the small caps. We had 4.1% up volume. The trend model flipped from a +3 to a -3 right on the open. Now, why was the market down so big, you ask? Because of the CPI data that we got this morning. So we framed out the setup heading into the CPI. And basically the setup was, hey, there's a very high probability that the CPI is going to come out light. But the market has rallied pretty heavily into the CPI print. So if we get that light CPI print, we're likely going to get a low payout, right? There's a low probability the CPI comes out very poorly. If that happens, there's a big asymmetric risk to the downside. And unfortunately, we did end up getting that bad outcome, and the market had, just this very violent reaction. A lot of what's bringing players back into the market is they think, hey, the inflation outlook is getting better. And with that said, the Fed can eventually be a little bit more dovish in terms of monetary policy. But with another high CPI print, that whole thesis kind of goes out the window, right? So that's really why we got this horrible, horrible price action. Keep in mind, tomorrow we have the PPI report coming out. You can see it's going to be out at 8:30 a.m. And the market was expecting a decline on this one as well. You can see the consensus is for a -0.1% reading month over month. Now, I would not be surprised, given the CPI report that we just got, if this does not come out to be a decline. At this point, though, I do think that if we were to get, a hot PPI print, do I think we're going to get another -5% day? No, I think now things are a little bit more skewed the other way, where I think there's a high probability that we get a hot PPI print. I think if that happens, we'll see, some meaningful downside. But I also think that in the lower probability event that we get a nice cool PPI print, we could also see just as much, upside move as well. So this is a very treacherous setup where if you're making binary bets, you can really get, crushed in this kind of market environment. I must say though, look at this carnage. Apple was down 5.87%. We had Apple call options and we closed those out yesterday into the strength. Thank goodness. Amazon down 7, Nvidia down almost 10. So these are just massive moves. Again, a lot of these assets, these are years worth of returns in a single session. Now, the way that I would describe today's session for myself is this was a really good, really bad day, where I was positioned long heading into today's session. And really what we outlined was, given the asymmetry of the setup, hey, I'm going to lean long into the market, but I want to make sure that I'm not like leveraged long and a bunch of options, anything of that nature. So yeah, today as the market was unfolding, I was like, man, this is certainly not the ideal outcome. I'm long today. So today I did take a drawdown, but as I looked at the portfolio at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? This is not bad at all. Because on a lot of these days where we've been, performing very well and we've been in the right place at the right time, we've really been compounding our capital. So for today, taking a step back, that is perfectly fine. I was actually counting my lucky stars because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can deal with this. This really is not bad at all. Our big trade that we had on for today's session was some TLT call options. And we'll open the TLT chart in just a moment. TLT actually closed green. But yeah, look at this. Sectors, everything was bad. ARK Innovation ETF down big. The MSOS cannabis stocks down big as well. We had semiconductors down over 6%. Blockchain got crushed down 6.96%. I think you get the idea. One thing that is noteworthy, solar stocks. One of our core positions is Enphase. Solar stocks did very well on a relative basis. And I must say, Today is a great day for searching for alpha because there were some names that were really bucking the trend of the overall market weakness. One name that one of the guys in our group traded today, ticker symbol AEHR, that one was a very solid outperformer. But yeah, overall a bloodbath. Style factors, we see the same exact thing. We see a high div, low vol down 3.63%. The size style factor down big, high beta down 5.11%. So really big moves in the market. In terms of common stock trades, I did stop out of one core position. We had a trade in SMCI, and this one looked like a really good setup. But again, I certainly was not expecting the CPI to miss. And so for this one, I stopped out at about like a 6% loss on this. And that is definitely manageable. I put here trading the setup like a professional. And yeah, given that my trend model flipped negative, I was like, hey, I'll take this off. 6%, I can definitely deal with that. And who knows, maybe we'll get a good opportunity later in the week. And then in terms of options, into the bell, I did add to my TLT September 16th 108 strike call options for 64 cents. I put TLT did not fall today despite the horrible CPI, and this one is sized for a max loss. Let's actually take a look at the market, and we will assess some of this damage. So the S&P 500, as of right now in the after hours, we're trading down 0.07%. Tomorrow is going to be day 20 of this sell-off. Now, what I really want to put on your radar for today is we do have a VPOC down at 38.68 and a half. And I remember when we were selling off in very early September, just a week ago, I remember being like, hey, we're just not taking out this VPOC. What the heck? We got what now appears to just be, a nice bounce within a bearish trend. And on this next leg down, it does seem highly likely that we could end up taking out this VPOC. So that is a good level to target on the downside. It's also a good level if you want to play the other side of the market I think if we get there, that could be a good position to potentially take a shot on the long side. In terms of this hourly chart, we were so extended on the short-term time frame, and we fell back inside of this weekly value area. So again, we actually just triggered a bearish 80% rule here. So could we end up hitting, this 38.99 spot 75? Absolutely. I think that's a good level to watch for, especially if the PPI comes out a little bit hot. Now let's take a look at these other indices. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ down 0.18% in the after hours, also just got absolutely sparked. Look at this. We gave back almost the entire run into the CPI in one day. Now this is one of those days, if you're a trader, let's say you're just leaning the wrong way. Let's say today you're just a little bit too leveraged, you had a little bit too much risk on. This was a potential extinction event. Now I know on Twitter, everyone just tries to make it seem like they lean the right way every single day. I was on a Twitter space yesterday, and we had a bunch of market market pundits that were talking about how they were leaning so long yesterday, and we're long call options. A lot of these guys that swing like the zero DTE stuff, like the weekly stuff, and they're honestly just punting on the market. But yeah, pretty much everyone was super excited on the long side yesterday. A lot of those same people today were like, oh yeah, we killed it, we shorted the open. And I know that's not really the case for most people on Twitter. I highly doubt like, oh, everyone, just made a killing today. For me, I certainly did not make a killing today. Today I took a drawdown, and that's just me being honest. I mean, with these videos, that's really what you're getting from me. This is, our trading, it's uncensored, uncut. We're giving you everything here, the wins and the losses. Here's Russell 2000. We are trading below this monthly value area. And take a look here. This is our Dow Jones. And we also pretty much gave back that entire advance. Now let's look at TLT. Now I noted into the CPI, hey, I believe there's some asymmetry in TLT where there's tons of hedge funds that are short bonds. And today's CPI print could not have been any worse for this TLT trade. But I think there was so much asymmetry that TLT ended up closing out positive, which is great. So yeah, TLT, we'll have to see. If we could not close negative when we got just the worst news possible, I think there's a high likelihood that we end up getting a bounce pretty soon. So that is why I added to those TLT call options. And look at this, we got this green candle. We closed pretty much right on the highs, and we did so on high volume as well. So I'm really looking forward to just seeing how this progresses throughout the rest of the week. Let's take a look real quick at the VIX and just see where that is. The VIX, wow, so we got right back up to these swing highs, right around 27.27 on the VIX. We did not close quite on the highs, but yeah, that is a huge extended range candle. Definitely nothing to mess around with for sure. And the dollar index, let's take a look here. Dollar index, wow, yeah, check this out. So a really big extended range green candle. So this is definitely not a market to be playing around in right now. You really have to respect the risk. And right now we're in this window of very weak seasonality in September. So I think, it's really all about just taking a slow and steady measured approach. There's really no rush. There's going to be some great opportunities. And take a look, some of these names were actually acting pretty well. Enphase. This is our largest position via common stock. You would never think that the market was down so big today. Enphase was only down 1.11%, and you can see that there were allocators that were allocating to this stock. Check this out. So what's going to happen to this stock when the pressure on the market eases up? I do think this is a really good breakout candidate into the end of the year. Another name that I kept on the books for today. So I try to just keep everything on that, was acting pretty well. Wolf. This is a semiconductor stock. This one also was accumulated today, despite the big weakness in the market. One of the members of our group traded today, AEHR. Look at this, up 13.48% on the day on huge volume. So this was definitely a day, despite the weakness, we were seeing allocations being made to some potential market leaders. On days like today, this is where it is incredibly important to be doing your nightly homework, because these are the days where maybe today's not the day where you make your big investment return, but if you do research today that sets you up, or maybe it's 2 days down the road, 3 days down the road, 3 weeks down the road, when you get that set up, if you know where to be looking when the market turns, you can really get a nice sequence in your portfolio. Let's take a look. What else do we have? AHR, Twitter. This is another one of our long positions. We are long for a merger arbitrage trade, some call options. Twitter closed out positive today. It's up 0.8%. So yeah, there definitely were some good names. I'm going to do some more scanning after the bell and just see what else is out there. MNTK, not after the bell, I mean after I finish recording this video. This is a pretty late one, so thanks for sticking with us here. MNTK, this one really tried to make a nice advance, but I think the overall market weakness just kind of got to this name, but definitely one to keep watching moving forward. So yeah, heading into tomorrow's session, honestly, I still think we're just in this wild card environment where it's all going to come down to whatever happens on PPI. And volatility is definitely moving to the upside. And the market's moving very fast. So I think we're going to get some more great opportunities over the next week or two. It's all about just being patient. You don't want to rush it and, just buy into like a massive red candle. That's how you can get run over. In general, I do think it's better if you wait to see some signs that some institutions are beginning to accumulate or some of the selling pressure is being absorbed. That is really what has been working this year. So definitely keep that at the top of your mind. All right, everyone. With that being said, hope you all managed to, close out today in good shape, and make sure you keep your spirits up. We're going to be back at it tomorrow. We'll see you all next time.